Welcome. You're watching How to Heal Yourself with Kim and my lovely guest, Doris Kessler. My name is Kim O'Neill, and let's get right to it. I want to share with you who Doris is. So, Doris, hi.
Hello, Kim.
How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. And it's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. I love your beautiful flower in your hair. It's gorgeous.
The divine feminine spirit. I just love it.
Okay, why don't you tell us, what are some of the things that you do?
I work as a coach, and coaching really has become my profession after studying some years in psychology and after being a hobby psychologist for all those years. What really triggered it was when I was a teenager. I grew up in Eastern Germany behind the Iron Wall, and it was a safe time for me. I felt very safe, and yet I always felt like something essential was missing, and that was love. You know, the way people talked to each other was harsh. The way people treated each other, I perceived it as harsh. And then when I became a teenager, there was a neighbor. I still remember her name. She had a little dog. Daddy was his name, a little brown Pekingese. And I started to take this little dog out for walks. And that was the moment, and I was 14 years back then, that was the moment that I started asking myself, how could I be as happy as he is? And why is he always happy? Why is he always wagging his tail? Why is he always, showering all of us with unconditional love? Everyone that he is seeing on the road when we were walking, And then together with him, I started to enjoy nature, because I always enjoyed nature. When I was a little kid, I went out to nature when I was seeking advice, when I wanted to be in an environment without judgment. I was going out to nature, and I stood with trees and flowers, plants. I heard the birds singing, and I always felt this unconditional love. And I wondered, what disconnected people from this essence that I see everywhere? So that really started my journey of becoming a hobby psychologist and understanding myself better and understanding others better, and then see how I deal with this energy that I felt. So that really started it all.
Oh my goodness, that's a great story. We want to talk today about how to heal yourself, and what I think of when I think of you. I know you're an amazing healer. We've had sessions together, and I love working with you.
Thank you.
But one of the most powerful sessions that I've had with a coach, that was definitely very healing, very therapeutic for me, was when I was sort of in this space of struggling with, my own inner masculine and feminine sides. And I still remember, I think it was a year ago or more, maybe, when I sort of had this breakthrough with you, and you helped me really connect with my divine feminine.
Wonderful.
Yes. Has that always been a part of what you see as maybe your mission or work through the coaching that you do, or is that just one element of it? How does that show up for you?
You mean bringing in the divine feminine?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's something that showed up to me. It wasn't, in the beginning, it was more the question, how could I be as happy as daddy? I wanted to be as happy as daddy. But then later on, I realized that one part of my happiness is definitely balancing the divine feminine and masculine within myself. Because I realized that in this world, even in the Western world, even in Eastern Germany where I grew up, it was definitely out of balance. We live in a very patriarchal system. The popes were all masculine. The one and only feminine pope that ever existed was tortured to death. So the feminine has always been kind of suppressed. And yet we human beings consist of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, because in spirit, even though we are born into a particular body, which is either feminine or masculine, or sometimes it can be both, but that's the exception. We contain both of those energies. We are both the divine mother and the nurturing, the protective father for us, Mm-hmm. And we are also the inner child. So we have this sacred triangle, feminine, masculine child. So that was something that showed up later in my life when I asked myself, how can I be as happy as Daddy? I realized one part of becoming that happy was to balance those two energies within myself. So that's when I started to kind of see what's out of balance within me, and then, you know, balance, get that right, kind of right, reconnecting the two energies and really realizing that I'm both and nurturing both, you know, being your own protector, but being your own nurturer at the same time, loving yourself like a mother would love you, but holding space for you like a father would, you know? So kind of creating this within yourself. You know, we talked about that sacred yin and yang, which has one side masculine, one side feminine, one side black, one side white, and yet there's a dot of both energies in each, because everything is interconnected. So that's when it started, and it became a big element of my coaching as well, because I realized that many of us powerful women like you, healers, you know, people that have something amazing to give to this planet, and yet are still kind of overpowered by the masculine, by those chains, you know?
Yes.
That we're so desperately trying to get rid of, but it's more an energetic part, and it's an energy. We can only heal it with love, because what I realized is that we all had masculine and feminine lifetimes, and we might have done things that were not in alignment. We might have done things to women when we were men, and it's really all about loving each part of it and forgiving each part of it, forgiving everything. But now that we know, working, really doing this inner work on letting go, forgiving, loving, and embracing. And then when we embrace both parts of us and we realize we had to go through this, it was an Akashic contract. It was something that we signed up for, to go through this in order to know what we know now.
Doris, that's so, you talk about that so fluidly. I love it.
Well, it's part of my healing. It's part of what I do on this planet. It's something big for me.
I think there's a huge need for that, because I know a lot of women who, and I've talked about this before, but it's because I see it a lot. There's a lot of us who we definitely are clued into our masculine side, and we, get all caught up in the thinking and stuff, and are maybe disconnected from our heart, from our spiritual side. And it takes some work reconnecting the two, or, it's so interesting. And I know you know this, but I'll just share this with anybody watching as well. For quite a while, I was struggling with making that connection and putting the pieces together and trying to figure out, well, what's off? And for me, for a while there, it was like, oh, okay, I need to, I was phrasing it as I need to blend my head and my heart. And that's how I kept saying it. Okay, no, I'm in the space right now of blending my head and my heart. And I kept saying that to myself, but eventually realized, no, that's still off. Something's not quite right about that. And then I realized, it's just about allowing them to coexist and to blend and feed each other. And it's kind of like this beautiful marriage. And I hope this is making sense to people.
Yeah. We cannot get there if we force things. If we try hard, things will not work out. Rather, what it is embracing. It's really embracing. And, that's something else, something important of my journeys that I have lived, is that I've been asking myself for the last couple of years, how to stand in my power. How can I stand in my God-given power? I'm a spiritual, beautiful being, like we all are, vast, beautiful, big. We are confined in this rather tiny body, and yet we are such gorgeous, beautiful, amazing spirits, So how can I bring this in? How can I stand in my power? And what I've learned, Kim, is standing in my power really means to be kind to myself, to somebody told me once, be a spy on yourself. I agree with that to a certain point, because I don't like spying on I'm rather the observer. So I observe, and I created an awareness about how I feel. That's when the law of attraction is coming in. That's why I did my coaching certificate with Christy Whitman, who is a law of attraction life coach teacher, basically. So that's when the law of attraction is coming in. To be in your power is really only being kind to yourself. and nurture and embrace everything that is coming up. So the law of attraction, anyway, this awareness, we need to create an awareness. We need to have an awareness in our feeling. We need to really be sensitive to our feelings. Now, I've always been a very, very emotional woman, you know, so much so that my husband was telling me he doesn't really know how to deal with it. I'm very expressive. I'm very emotional. That's my feminine side. And yet, like you, I grew up in a Western society that was kind of, we were all trained on the left brain, the linguistic, the mathematics, physics, you know, everything visual, because men are very visual beings. We women are the feeling beings. And I never really embraced that feeling part. And, you know, I never really gave myself credit for being so sensitive, so compassionate, so sensitive to other people's energies, and also sensitive to when something was out of alignment within myself. So that moment that I gave myself credit for it, I started healing from within, because I could hold that. I could hold that whatever emotion I had. I said, okay, well, what are you here for to show me? And I held it like an inner child, whatever's coming up for me. You know, Christy taught us, for example, to embrace emotions and pass through it. Now I said, okay, how to do this? How do I do this? Well, to me, it really means to hold everything that I'm feeling, and I'm feeling here in my solar plexus. What is it that I feel? Embrace it. Put it, you know, kind of visualize an inner child, a little baby that is representing that anger, that rage, that, you know, whatever it is that you're feeling, frustration, despair, whatever, powerlessness. Powerlessness came up for me a lot. And yet I'm so powerful, you know.
You are, yeah.
We always have those both extremes, you know. Anyway, and that's how it's so simple sometimes. We overthink it because we're all left brain trained, and we try to look for answers, but it is so simple, you know. And when I got it, it's what, you know, if somebody's asking me now, Doris, what does it mean for you to stand in your power? Well, it's really just being kind to yourself, loving to yourself.
I think that there's this inherent making emotions wrong. Something's wrong with it. You need to control it. You need to manage it. You need to either maybe turn it off altogether, tune it out. Mm-hmm. And I always have to say this. With that said, sure, there absolutely is a time and a place to, be in check with ourselves. And I always go back to the workplace, because one of the things I do is interview coaching, so sure, you want to be aware of your emotions and be able to understand how you're coming across and all of that. So that can play a role in, say, a professional setting. But that aside, it was Christy Whitman and the QSCA for me that really showed me and taught me how important our emotions are, and that they aren't anything that's wrong with us. They are actually, and I find this so interesting, just the more and more I deepen my understanding of it, they are what's right with us. And the fact that we've made them wrong, that's how we're getting so disconnected from things. And things get so out, and then we get disconnected from other people, and things get out of hand. So, so I think,
if I may add, emotions is what makes us human beings. We're not robots. We are human beings. And human, you know what human actually means? I heard that lately. I think it was, who was it who said that? I don't remember, but human is a Sanskrit word. It's hu/man, and it means the dispenser of divine gifts.
Ooh.
If we want to dispense divine gifts, we have to start with ourselves. And what makes us dispense divine gifts is being connected with our emotions.
Wow.
Feeling who we are, embracing our emotions. But I think what you said is very, very common, because we grow up in a male-dominated world where feelings were considered to be weakness,
Right.
And it's hard for many to stand behind our feelings and to really be stand up for our feelings, and be even proud to have feelings.
Yeah.
And show them in an appropriate way, if necessary.
I think it takes that inner strength that maybe we've developed all our entire life up until whenever we decide to, change things around. But it takes that inner strength we've developed to say, you know what, I am going to give my feelings some airtime. I'm going to give them some time on the stage. It's okay. there's not anything wrong with you. There's everything right with you. And to me, just again, the more and more I deepen my understanding of this, it's actually all about connecting with my feelings first, because those are what inform my brain how to move forward and what to do next.
Exactly. And what they do is they help you move forward in telling you what beliefs are out of alignment, because emotions are nothing less than, when we are in alignment with divine spirit, with who we truly are, what we feel is pure joy. And actually, I heard a definition of love lately that was just giving pure joy. You know, that's who we are. That's what we came here to be. And yet we grow up in this judgmental world, and many of us, we are kind of like, what are you doing with me? This is not right. This is not correct, you know. But if we remember, if we, you know, like many wisdom traditions say, be in this world, but not of it. Be in this world, observe what happens, but don't be of it. So if we are not of this world, we can be our emotions. We can listen to them, and we can embrace them, and we can, you know, have them guide us to what limited belief caused this restriction in whatever part of our body, and then let it go and replace it with something that actually serves us and the world. Because the more we heal ourselves, we are all powerful beings. And I realize that the more that we heal ourselves, the biggest gift we can give to this planet is be ourselves in pure joy of who we are, loving, embracing, and accepting who we are. And when we do this with ourselves, we're not going to judge others any longer, because we're not judging ourselves anymore. You know, I've just been on vacation with my mom for 10 days, and it was really, really interesting. What I realized is that some of our dynamics, and I know we all choose our parents because we have something to work out. That's what I believe. I noticed that with my mom, and I really came here in this lifetime. I really want peace with this beautiful spirit of hers, because I love her deeply. So what I realized is that when something in her is out of alignment, and we all have our weak moments when we fall into old world beliefs, into old world patterns, whatever it is, when I stand in my power, and standing in my power means being kind to myself. You know, I don't have to listen to what she said. I mean, if she's, for example, if she's condescending to me, if she's saying something that is out of alignment with what I would like to hear, it kind of shut me down in the past. Now I'm just like, oh, that makes me feel, okay, I understand. Well, what is it that you want to tell me, little baby? I love you so much. I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to listen to you now. And then that baby says something to me, and I can just be kind to myself. And as I stay in alignment, my mom, I realized that she was actually getting back into a more peaceful place, because she stopped feeling threatened. And because she didn't feel threatened anymore by my presence or by whatever energy she felt, because I was in peace and joy, she got back into a peaceful and joyful state. And I think this is really how it works. When we are healing ourselves, you know, getting back into alignment, this is what we give to the earth. And this is how we heal this planet. And this is how you and I, as coaches, attract our clients. They will find us. We're the lighthouse standing tall, shining our lights, and they will see the light, and they will see many lights, and they say, oh, that resonates with me. That doesn't resonate with me. That light resonates. That light is so bright. I have to go towards that light, you know. This is how I found my healers, my mentors in my life, you know. It was the brightest shining light that I moved towards to, and I always learned something.
One thing that I just remembered as you were talking, Abraham Hicks says that this is not verbatim, but one who is in alignment is more powerful than thousands who are not. Yes. Yes. And that definitely speaks to what you were just saying with your mom. You know, when you are loving yourself, and in alignment with yourself, then it's a lot easier for her to fall into her own alignment. And I see that too. And sometimes it feels like it's challenging. And I feel like when it feels like it's challenging, that's because to some extent we're still in our head. And so when we take it back to, okay, no, that's right. It's not up here. Let's start down here. Then everything can be easier. And
it gets challenging because you're in your head.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Oh, I love this. So good talking with you, Doris. I love talking with you.
I love talking to you as well, my dear. How can we, okay, let's talk about how can we serve this planet?
I think about us being ourselves and us loving ourselves and us, it's answering the calling of your heart. And sometimes I found that within me to be very scary, right? I feel this strong pull to, okay, I want to do this. And, but there's a part of me that's freaked out. Even though that thing sounds really fun and exciting, I'm really freaked out because...
Could it be, excuse me for,
yeah.
Could it be that because you want to do things very, very, in a very good way. And so maybe you have a lot of judgment towards yourself. Yeah. And because you have a lot of judgment towards yourself, you're afraid of judgment from the other world. Because when you stop judging yourself, you won't be afraid of judgments of other people anymore.
Absolutely. Yes. And so that's what makes it a whole process. It's like every time we have an opportunity to step into a bigger expression of ourselves, those things that pop up, that freak us out, reflect back to us, awesome, that's great that you want to do that thing, awesome. Here's what you need to work on first so that you can get there. And that's absolutely something that I, time and again have seen with myself, and it's all good. It's all good because I know that it serves me. And it serves every one of us, to acknowledge those things. And we get to choose. We get to choose if we want to put the brakes on and say, nope, stop. I don't want to do this. Or, okay, I'm going to allow myself to warm up to the idea, and I'll get there. Those are choices we get to make. It doesn't have to be a right or wrong, but, for me, I've noticed, when I want to get to somewhere quicker and I've got these internal things that are creeping up for me, it's all about that focus. It's all about that focus. And so sometimes for me it comes down to, okay, you know what? I'm focusing too much on me and the fear part. What's the reason why I want to do this thing? And when I focus on that, that's where they say, what's your why? When I focus on why I want to do this other thing and remind myself how much that just, brings out my passion and speaks to what I want to do in the world or otherwise, it's, when I generate more of that, then that allows the fear to just subside. It also tends to be built on things that haven't even happened. We don't need to create an energy about that. Let's create an energy more on what we want. So that's the process I go through, in my head. And I think it's about being easy on yourself. But sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
It's absolutely, be easy on yourself. Be easy on yourself, because if you're hard on yourself, we're just falling back into an old world behavior that has never served anybody.
Right.
It actually does constrict you in who you are, so you cannot really fully shine your light. You cannot be this beacon of light for the world. But you mentioned a really interesting point, and that's having a choice.
Yes.
And you and I, we are coaches. We know how important it is for clients to know that they have a choice, and kind of guiding them to know how much of a choice in fact they have, and so that's why I don't really like the expression work on something. It sounds too constricted. I realized it is rather unbecoming what you are not. There's this beautiful story of the Golden Buddha. Did I ever tell you that, Kim?
You have, but it's a fantastic story. Feel free to share it.
I really believe it. Well, at least in my case, I realize that this is how it works, and this is the approach that I take with my clients as well. We kind of clean the clay so that the golden light that is already within that person can shine. So there's those monks, and they're settling at the place in the jungle, and they find a beautiful big clay Buddha that has lots of cracks, and it was kind of, underneath the greens. And then they take this Buddha, and then one day they have to move away because they are threatened. And they put this Buddha onto a big carriage, and then they go along, and the streets were not concrete. There were lots of holes. And so the clay started to, the cracks got deeper, the clay started to kind of chip off. And then one night, a monk torched some light to the Buddha. They were guarding the Buddha, and then they saw golden light reflecting back. And then they moved closer, and then what they actually realized, they started chipping off more clay. And what came out underneath was a beautiful golden Buddha. And that's the metaphor that I often use for human beings. We are beautiful, beautiful golden Buddhas. That's what I meant. We're this beautiful golden light, we're this vast, amazing, powerful spirit constricted in a rather tiny body that is all the clay. And we carrying clay, it might be past lifetime clay, it might be childhood clay, it might be, this world has not been functioning for many, many years. And it is still in fear and darkness, but something powerful is happening now. And so more and more people, that's what I love about coaches. We help people chip off the clay so that they can shine their golden light.
I think that we come in, thank you for sharing that story. I love that story.
Me too.
I think, we come into this world and we're actually, the closest to just being our brightest selves when we first come in, right? But over time, without realizing it, for a lot of us, we tend to, I would say, take on the clay or energy of other people. Mm-hmm. And shows up, in our thoughts, our beliefs, our feelings, our perceptions, all of that. And we don't realize it, either maybe until one day we have an epiphany or a breakthrough or something, something hits us to the core and we really have to now see it and I was going to say work through, let's use your phrase, undo all the clay that was, that we've accumulated. But one question I really love for that is, and this comes through the teachings of Access Consciousness, one of the questions they have is, who does this belong to? And I love that. I love, love, love that. Yeah. When I first heard that, I was like, oh yeah, sure. That sounds like a great question to ask. And then I found myself, at one point I found myself thinking about something that has, had bothered me for years. And I thought, oh, that's right. Yeah, let me use that question. And I could tell that I just had this, I already had this kind of preconceived notion that the question wasn't going to change anything at all. But I was like, okay, let me ask it. So I was thinking about the situation, and then I decided to say, who does this belong to? And immediately I was like, oh my gosh, this is not me. This is not mine. I've adopted it, but it did not originate with me. And I have a choice, again, in this moment to release it and let it go. And I did. And it was like, wow, that's one thing I love about coaching is
freeing up so much space.
Yes, and it can all just be from one question. I mean, there can be so much more, but it's as simple as one question. And it's not the same. It's not the same to think about the situation and think, oh, I could ask this. You have to ask it. You have to actually ask it, because that's when new information can come through.
Yeah. Was it Natalie Ledwell who said, we're little beings. When we're babies, we're like sponges, and we are in theta wave. And we kind of absorb everything that's going on in our environment. And we already do this when we're in our mother's womb. So when we're in our mother's womb, we hear the father's voice, we hear the mother's voice, we hear and feel what's going on around. And we kind of get an idea about the environment that we are going to be incarnated in. And then, by the age of, so when we're babies, we're like sponges. We're like little, beautiful, pure beings, and we just absorb, And then by the age of 4, I think they say that's when you start having your basic judgments taken over from your parents, from your caregivers, from whoever you spend time with, whatever judgments they have or whatever fears they have, whatever it is. You start having a basis of judgment or fear or whatever. And then by the age of, when you start interacting with others, that's when you make judgment based on what you learned. And so that really goes back deep into childhood. Who is this from? So what I noticed with my mother is that I came from a place where it always was kind of like, you cannot. And then excuses were made up in order to defend, you cannot do this. And I just realized I had this big breakthrough just a couple of months ago, when I was being with my husband, and I just realized, oh my God, oh my God, I have done this. And now my mother is doing this with me. And I'm just looking at her and I'm giving her all the, all the solutions why it can be done. Because when I realized that I was doing this, I said, okay, now I want to shift this, because once you're aware, you have a choice. And it's simple. You can just say, okay, from now on, I'm going to make all my decisions based on I can, whatever it is that I want to do. So I started doing this. And then my mom came up with something. I think it was about, installing mosquito screens.
Okay.
We have mosquito screens all over our windows because we don't like insects in the house because they would die and we love them too much. And if there's something inside the house, we put it into a glass and we put it outside again. But in order not to attract anything, when we have the windows open, we have screens. So I was talking to my mom, and it is not common in Germany to have mosquito screens on your windows. Have you ever been thinking about installing mosquito screens? And then she started with all the reasons why she cannot. And so, things came up. I just talked about it with my husband, and we laughed because I thought it was so cute, and I did the same thing. I invented all those excuses why it cannot be done, not with mosquito screens, but before in our 18 years together. And now I realize, oh, now I know whom I have this from. This is my mother's side. For the first time I heard it on her, and it was really, for me, the good thing is I could just embrace it. But I realized that it was like a big aha for me, And talking about this, we were talking about fear. I think that came, and I don't even know if it's from my mother's side or from her ancestors, that she had this I cannot, and inventing excuses why it can't be done. Fear, and I think Kelly Sullivan talks about this. Her definition of fear that I heard was fear, face it. You face it, you look at it, and look, and I explain it in a way that become aware of it. Listening to your feelings. Oh, there's fear. Okay, face it. Don't just push it away. Look at it like an inner child, and embrace it. Embrace it like you would embrace an inner baby.
Yeah.
Face it, and then release it. And then fill the space with something that serves you.
One of the things I occasionally do is when I, basically what you just said, but when I acknowledge that there is a fear, realize, oh, that's right. There's just a scared part of me that's feeling this or thinking that I see this. And I just sort of like envision the fear with the heart around it. And I send it love. And it just transforms all of it. It makes it either easier to do something, with knowing that there's love around, or it totally dissipates the fear altogether and everything is just lighter and easier. Yeah.
That's a wonderful idea, my dear. It's a wonderful idea to send pink light. Pink light is the energy of the heart, and green healing light as well. But, embrace the fear with the pink light and just hold it like a baby. And then look at that baby and say, I'm here for you, honey, now. I'm listening. So tell me, what is it that you feel? And, sometimes it doesn't even matter where it comes from. What is important is that you are aware of it now and you can release it. You're ready to release it, because oftentimes we are ready to release things once we become aware of them.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, because I think a lot of times they just want to be seen. It just has a need to be acknowledged.
Yeah. And as I said to you before the interview, when we talked, is, there's a divine time for everything.
Yeah.
Every fear, you will know when to look at the fear, when you're strong enough, when you're wise enough, clean enough, shining a golden light enough to look at the fear and release it, Yeah. And it doesn't mean that when we, as Abraham Hicks says, we never get it done. Life is a beautiful journey. And because we're eternal beings, our life goes on beyond this lifetime. So it's a continuous growing journey, and there will always be things popping up, showing up. And, all we need to do is really embrace it so that we can stand in our power, and embracing everything that comes along our way. Look at it and see, what can I learn from you? With love, just thanking it that it is in your life, that it presents itself in your life, no matter what it is. and then go from there.
Okay, so Doris, tell me, who are your coaching clients?
Well, my ideal coaching clients, I love working with healers. I love working with people that know they have a bigger calling than the life that they're actually living right now. Something is within them that is, triggering their buttons, pushing them, hey, go ahead, share your truth, share your wisdom. I kind of help my clients chip off the clay so that they can shine their light. All of us, we have a gift to share with this planet. We have so much in common, and yet we all have unique gifts. Like every apple tastes, every apple looks different. And so that's my perfect client. People that feel this calling. They already have an understanding that they're spiritual beings, that they are here by choice, that they have a purpose to fulfill. But what is that purpose, and how to get there?
Nice.
How to unravel the power within.
I like that. That's a good title.
Yeah.
That sounds like a webinar.
Yeah, we can do that.
Or your first book, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. There could be books written about it for sure.
What's the best way for people to contact you? So is
the best way currently, because we're doing some changes on the website right now, the best way currently is to get in touch via email. And the email is trustandshine@directbox.com.
Well, okay. So I have one more thing before we wrap up the show. And this is just something that I think is fun to do. And
okay.
I know you don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to allow it to be a little tiny surprise.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. I love surprises.
Okay. So choose 1 through 4.
4.
I'm shuffling. Tell me when to stop.
Okay. Now, stop.
Okay, so 1 through 4, I pulled out my card decks. I have 4 different card decks. And I know, I love card decks too. Okay, and number 4 was Power Thought Cards by Louise Hay. And when you said stop, the one that was on top, I trust the process of life.
How beautiful. You cannot make this up. See, this gives me goosebumps. And you see it contains my favorite colors, blue and green.
Oh.
Wow. Well, that is my message. That would be my message to my clients. Trust the process of life. Know that you are deeply supported. Know that I'm holding space for you as my client. And all that I want for you is to shine your golden light.
That's beautiful, Doris. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you, Doris, for doing this interview with me today. And I know we'll talk again soon. So thank you so much for being here.
It was an honor, Kim. Really, a pleasure and an honor. I loved spending time with you.
Likewise.
Okay. All right. God bless. Bye-bye.
Well, Doris, it's been awesome having you on here. I want to just ask you some questions about you as, just as a person. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your favorite food?
Fruits and vegetables that come fresh from nature, freshly harvested. Like I always said, my luxury is to have an apple just taken from a tree and eating it. And I know that lemons, they lose their magic to heal cancer cells or whatever they do within 3 days after harvesting it. So
really?
Fresh and local fruits and vegetables, and organic, of course, wild, untamed. I mean, I've just been in Germany, as I told you before, and there are all those apple trees, wild apple trees. My favorite thing there, besides spending time with my mom and my family, of course, and was harvesting apples and eating them right there on the spot. There's nothing better. So yeah, anything that's healthy, nourishing your body, that is giving you life force. And freshness is very important, because what we eat, I believe that we shine the freshness of the food that we're nourishing our bodies with. So
what is your favorite animal?
Dolphins.
Oh, I knew that. I completely. Okay, but other people didn't know that. So
there's animals that I feel deeply connected with, and that's whales and dolphins.
Why do you think that is? Why whales and dolphins?
Well, I don't know where my roots go. I haven't been going that deep into my Akashic records to find out, but I believe that I have something is connecting me deeply with Lemuria. Mm. It looks like dolphins are connecting us with our essence, and our essence, our God essence, is joy, pure joy. So when you're with dolphins, you kind of feel this, you get all excited, you get all playful, and you release, you have no more restrictions suddenly, you have no more fears, you're just, filled with joy and excitement. And
it sounds like the dolphins do what you do.
kind of.
People with their essence, and that's what...
You know what? It's interesting, Kim, that one of my mentors said that I'm healing with dolphins. And whenever I'm healing somebody, I should call on my dolphins because I'm working with dolphins. So I don't know what it is, but yes, I feel a deep connection with dolphins and whales.
Nice. One thing I want to share with people, I know you are highly intuitive. And I think one of the things that's so powerful about you is your ability to connect with your own intuition really lends itself to your sessions and to your clients being able to do the same in their lives. So,
yes, that's the important thing. When we are allowing ourselves, when we have no more fear to trust that voice within, then we can be, because we have understood how to get there, we can truly give this over to our clients as well.
Yeah.
That is something, I believe that intuition is something that all of us human beings have. Our intuition, our feelings, our inner voice, our inner guidance. This is our God self. This is, who we truly are. And when we chip off all that clay, the clay is constricting for us. The clay is, for example, causing us to stay in our head instead of our heart. So we cannot listen to what is being told us. Even though we might have had, I kind of had a feeling that wouldn't be the right thing, but my head said blah, 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 I believe that we all have this, and it's so important to let your intuition shine and guide you through your life, because if you allow yourself to be guided by your intuition, you cannot but shine.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can but shine. How do you say this in English? You can but shine.
You can not
do nothing else than shine.
Yeah. Leave it there.